When I review a movie, the typical process is this. I'll go see it. Immediately after finishing it, I come home all giddy, full cocked, ready to just spit out all of my thoughts. And like Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore, I am going to review this movie. I do it immediately, so everything is all fresh in there. Everything that I cook up in this wrinkly sack between my ears. And I post it pretty much immediately. All within like 30 to 45 minutes of seeing a film. And yesterday I saw the Chainsaw Man movie and I really liked it. But I didn't post a review. And Stream picked up on this and started asking why, because it's pretty uncharacteristic. And the reason is because we actually have an official collaboration between our soap company Cheeky and Chainsaw Man. So this is available now. We have a Chainsaw Man movie-inspired line of new Cheeky scents. I was a big fan of Chainsaw Man, so this collaboration has been super hype. And like I said, I really liked the movie, so all of these scents are inspired by that and the characters. And with this partnership in mind, I was worried people would think by me reviewing this film that it would be biased or unreliable, and I'm only glazing it because we're working together with the property. But the more that I squatted and stewed on this, and from Stream Chat last night, I really just want to yap about the film. And I feel like over the course of the, 8-ish years that I've been reviewing movies and games, I think it should be pretty clear by this point that it doesn't really matter anything outside of like the actual product itself. Like, I try not to take anything else into account when just, spitting up my thoughts on something. So even though we are officially partnered with Chainsaw Man, I'm still going to give you my very honest review of the movie. And I do that for everything. So like, even if my dad made like a passion project film, if it's a pile of dog shit, I'm gonna let him know that is some stinky trash, Like, it's just gonna be how it is. Now, in the case of the Chainsaw Man movie, there is nothing stinky about it. This film was fucking extraordinary. And I said this last night, it has been an incredible year for 2D animated feature films. Pretty much back to back, we got Demon Slayer Infinity Castle and now the Chainsaw Man movie, which I think is right up there with it. I think this movie was so good. So let's go ahead and dive into the spaghetti and the meatballs here. So this is a whole arc condensed into a single movie. And I was a bit skeptical at first because I always thought when it came to something like this, you'd need multiple episodes to build up and care about a character that gets introduced. So that way it actually matters and feels meaningful when big things happen. But I have really come around on this arcs as movies direction that the industry seems to be going. I think Demon Slayer has done it really well, and now Chainsaw Man has proven they can do it really well. Reze is a character who gets introduced in this film and develops throughout this film, and by the end, you do care about the character. I think they do a really good job at setting that up. I think they hit the emotional beats very well. I also think this is a film you can see even without watching season 1 of Chainsaw Man and still understand what's going on. I wouldn't really recommend doing that because you miss out on so fucking much, but if you have a friend or a significant other or something that maybe wants to go see it with you, I think they can without being lost and they can still really enjoy it. And this film comes in two very different halves. The first half of this film is setting up Reze in this emotional arc as well as Denji and his conflicting feelings where he's in love with Makima. Makima has his heart, but Reze is someone that's showing like genuine romantic interest in him, which is something he's never experienced before, so now he's also falling for Reze. So it's this back and forth of like these feelings he shares for two different women, and it's, really weighing heavy on him. It's stressing him out, and he's going on dates with Reze, but thinking of Makima, but really liking the time he spends with Reze. So the first half is really building that up and getting you to care about Reze. And I think they do a good job. The first half is very much like a slow burn where it is a lot of slice of life going on, and it's really well done, like it's detailed. Slice of life is my least favorite genre in anime, but in here, and maybe it's because of the time constraints of a movie, they're able to do slice of life without having it feel like it drags on or overstays its welcome. It feels like every single slice of life moment is there to build up this relationship and get you sold on this character, Reze, and I do think there are some people that will find that boring. In the same way where Demon Slayer had a lot of flashbacks to tell a story that people apparently didn't like that much and kind of tuned out, I didn't have an issue with it, but a lot of people didn't like all the flashbacks. This movie doesn't have any of that. There's no flashbacks, but instead they do all of that, fleshing out of these characters in real time across the movie. So actually maybe people will find that more appealing. But I just do think that there's a chance in the first half of this film where it is very, mundane tasks that Denji goes on, like little dates with Makima and Reize, where people might find it to be uninteresting. But I think it's important to understand that without all of this character building and giving all of that time and attention to actually making people invested in the story and characters, all of the action and all of the beautiful mayhem in the second half would have felt a lot less meaningful. Action without a good story and good reason for it feels flat. And in this film, that is not the case at all, because they spent a lot of time and a lot of care building everything in the first half. So then the second half, it feels like an even bigger payoff watching it all unfold. Something else I feel people might bump on is, if you're not super familiar with Denji as a character, maybe you would be put off by how, like, highly sexual he views things. So, like, when he's, conflicted on his feelings with Reize and Makima, he pictures them in, like, lingerie type thing, and he sees 2 sets of boobs, that kind of thing. Though I would say in the context of the story, there's a real reason for that. Denji is a guy who has experienced nothing but misery and agony his entire life, and now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's turned around for him where he is, like, having friendly interactions with people, which has never happened, and now women are actually showing interest in him, which he never even thought was possible in the first place. But it turns out that these women are actually just using him. He is very easily manipulated because of how little experience he's ever had in his life, so they use, like, sexual shit as a way of controlling Denji and grooming him. So it does, like, make sense in the context of the story, but I do think that some people might be put off by that. Anyway, though, let's talk about the second half, because I think this is where everyone is going to be losing their fucking minds, throwing popcorn and how hype it was, because the entire second half of the film, the fights with Bomb Girl, are just incredible. Once Bomb Girl is introduced, once she comes into the fold, it is from that moment till the credits roll, fighting. She fights Aki, she fights fucking everybody, fucking civilians she starts throwing hands with. And Denji is teaming up with a shark fiend named Beam, and he rides the shark into battle with his chainsaw, like, wrapped around him, like the chainsaw blade that is, like, wrapped around him. It's so fucking cool. And not only is Bomb Girl fighting everybody, but she actually has a tag team partner named Typhoon, who, from the name you can probably guess, has the ability to basically controlling, like, the weather in, like, a typhoon. And it's just so chaotic and so fun. It's super, super hype. Also, big shout outs to the music choice here. I heard Maximum the Hormone come on during one of the fight sequences, and that was a joy. I have not heard Maximum the Hormone in, good lord, who knows how long. But when Maximum the Hormone track started playing, my god, it was time to lock in. That's what Dankin said as well on stream. It really is super hype. The entire second half action is breathtaking. It is so, so good. I will say, though, when Chainsaw Man is, like, directly fighting Typhoon, like, actually in the mega mix deep in it, since Typhoon is just, flinging so much shit around, there's a lot happening visually. Chainsaw Man's riding Beam, this fucking giant shark in there's a lot happening. It can be a bit visually cluttered at times, but I don't think it ever reaches a point where you don't know what's happening and you can't see the action. I think it does a really good job of keeping everything, like, digestible, where you can easily tell what is going on. I just think when it gets to the Typhoon, like, towards the end of Typhoon fight there is so much that happens that it does get a little muddy, but never to a point where it was like, what the fuck is happening? I just wanted to mention that there is a bit of clutter there with Typhoon in particular, towards, like, the final section there of him fighting Typhoon. But overall, I think this movie was great. I really, really liked it. And hopefully you don't think that this is just a biased perspective on it because of our partnership. I am very excited by the Cheeky Chainsaw Man collaboration. Like I mentioned, it's out now. All of the soap smells amazing, and I'm very excited, very happy to be working with them. But that plays no role in my thoughts on this movie. If this partnership didn't exist with Cheeky and Chainsaw Man, I would still have the exact same feelings on this film. So, yeah. Anyway, that's really about it. So, yeah.